Well, how do there, chums, as I'm Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, for you guys out there in the viewerverse, I have some ideas that I've put together inside of a video. Yeah, hopefully you're going to find these mind-blowing, to try and keep players on planets that little bit longer. Because right now, chums, I mean, let's face it, I usually get out of my ship, I maybe explore for about half an hour, look to see if it's got any interesting flora or fauna, and then I'm off. I very rarely spend a long time on a planet. Now, when you actually go to a different zone inside of the actual galactic map, and you land on a planet, you've got this. Underneath the log page, you've got the Exploration Guild, Local Information Register, and inside of this register, you can register all of your discoveries. It actually counts them, chums, and it gives you a little bit of a description of the actual system. It says they're previously inhabited by Korvax. This is now Gek. How freaking weird is that? Anyhow, when you head on over past this little chappie here, we'll come back to that little chappie there in a moment, because at the moment he doesn't really give you anything outside of the realms of norm that you find in the station. We have this. Now let me turn my HUD back on, because you see there's Local Information Register on side of the log. Go in here, turn on my HUD. Now let's see what it gives this as a label. Local Information Repository. So it makes sense that you upload a register into a repository. Now I'm hoping if you do that, the more things you find, the more things it gives you over here. At the moment it only gives you print chart, and that sends you to a relic site where you find something that isn't really worth much. But the more you actually discover in a system, wouldn't it be cool if it sent you to some rarer loot? Things that you can dig up if you go and scan all this sort of stuff and make good on the actual local information register and hit, like, maybe they could have a minimum, a medium and a maximum sort of level of find, and depending on whatever you do, it unlocks different maps for higher grade of loot. So you can see there, yeah, it's a Gek system now, but it was Korvax before, so perhaps it could bring in a bit more lore about the planet and the system that you're in, which I think could be quite nice, and maybe they could tie it into the actual archive itself. We've got a guild guy here. I feel that we should be able to pick up some guild related missions here, but this missions agent over here, I feel that they should make him more of a bounty hunting mission with inside of this system. So this system is actually a high conflict system. It's a level 3 system, so I feel that he should offer you some sort of bounty missions to go and hunt pirates inside of the actual planet atmosphere. You can see here there's a freighter flying in, well, frigate flying in low orbit. They should add that in. But also when you actually speak to this vendor to take on a bounty, maybe they could offer you wingmen to run and do missions with on said planet. You can see here I'm flying in formation with a squad. I say I'm not. I mean, this is from an old demo from freaking years ago. But how cool is that? You can see here now 3 other ships flying. Perhaps these could be the pirates, and me and my wingman are taking them down. Take that, you! Heck yes, it'd be cool to have sort of little pop-up messages on your dash from your wingman as well. A little bit like Star Fox on the old Nintendo. That'd be freaking sweet as. So they could do a lot more with this envoy down here, and maybe tie it into hunting pirates. And if the higher the conflict zone, the higher the actual missions you're going to get, and the better rewards you're going to get. And maybe get some proper nice S-class modules for your starships, like heat-seeking rockets and shite like that, which would be freaking ace. But yeah, I feel that they need to also do stuff with the actual, the actual planets themselves. It's like this one says, high sentinel activity. Well, perhaps on this high sentinel activity planet, there would be a sentinel facility that you have to sort of raid to shut down the sentinel activity for, say, 24 hours. A bit like the derelict freighters. And then the things that you get from either raiding pirates or picking up the relics, from getting the local information registry all tapped up, perhaps you can bring them here, turn them in, because right now, these do fudge all, really, chums. It'd be pretty awesome to be able to get some really gnarly drops, perhaps some new S-class modules that you can't buy in any of the station vendor areas or anything like that. Or maybe a module that almost does the equivalent of having all 3 modules installed, the S-classes that we currently have, so we can free up a slot. That'd be freaking awesome. Please make archives relevant! Yes, yeah, I think the archive could be turned into a place where we can pick up loot, pick up decent missions to get more loot and to set off raids. So that's what I'm hoping. Now on this planet, there is also some giant sandworms that jump out the ground. So yeah, mega flora and mega fauna could make a lot more sense on planets, chums. I mean, yeah, we do have quite a lot of mega flora, but mega fauna, this is the only real mega fauna that we have right now, chums. Yet in quite a lot of the early teased video clips, we did see quite a lot of mega fauna being teased, and also stampeding creatures and all sorts of other stuff. However, we don't really have a lot of that in game right now. Perhaps it could warn us if it's got mega fauna on planets. So that would be mind-blowing, wouldn't it? A bit like the, Extreme Sentinel worlds. But here we go. So this is an actual shark underwater. Now we do have some quite large underwater fish hairs, but they're not very predatory. They don't really attack you anymore. It'd be cool to have that. And also proper sandworms that you can attack and can attack you back. That'd be cool. Diplos of this sort of magnitude that move as majestic as this, we just don't got, which would be sweet. Seeing them wade into water like this again would be freaking awesome as well. And you see how its head pivots there. We haven't got anything that looks as lifelike as that when it comes to Diplos right now, and I love the curly tail. And then we've got this rhino that smashes through the trees, so one that has actually got events scripted to it. It chases all the other creatures out of, and all birds fly out the trees. We've got nothing like that right now, so I'd like to see a bit more of that. That would make planets more interesting. I'd want to stay if stuff like that happened. And also airborne giant mega fauna. And yes, make some predatory airborne ones, so you're looking from every direction for these sort of fauna. That'd be pretty sweet. And like I say, it could always warn you, couldn't it, from outer space when you scan the planet, just like it does for extreme storms or extreme whatever, sentinels, or Anyhow, I do like what we've got right now when it comes to planet terrain generation, and also some of the fauna on this planet are quite cool. You can see there's some geysers popping out of the ground. That's actually a creature! Heck yes! So yeah, we have got a lot more intrigue and interest since Origins popped. That did bring a lot more variety, and I must admit I have been exploring more planets since Origins. But even now, the amount of Origin level variety that was added has become a little bit sort of repetitive again now, because it isn't as variety driven as what they stated it would be to start off with, saying that infinite variety. It still isn't to that stage, so I'd like to see some more variety brought into the planets when it comes to fauna and flora, just of all types. I mean, when you look at some of these older iterations, you can see there's some buildings of intrigue and interest that we just don't have now. And again, I mean, what is that building? And look at the actual terrain on this. You can see all the voxel makeup above us, those little cubes and things that the planet's made up of. It just looks far more diverse in some of these trailers than what we're seeing now. And relic sites, perhaps have them span a few miles on a planet, like an old relic city. That would be pretty sweet. And maybe put a bit more lore there. Crystallized planets. I would like to see caves just full of different types of crystal, like a dihydrogen cave or something, to make it a lot easier to pick up basic resources, or even sort of condensed carbon. Any of the crystals. Crystalline caves would be freaking sweet. Or even planets that are just abundant in crystals, like this one shown here. So you can just, crystal biomes, basically, is what I'm saying, chums. Heck yes. Righto. So there's another building over there that's really interesting. And look at this. There is a whole freighter, I think that is a freighter in low orbit in this one little clip. I've never noticed that before, but it's majestically flying about in the background. Perhaps we could have pirate camps on giant freighters that come into actual systems low orbits. That would kind of make sense, because we've got crash freighters all over the place. It does kind of tie in. Also, we haven't really got a sort of sand planet. We do have desert planets with cactuses all over. Do you see any cactuses here? No, you don't. So we don't really have a dune-type landscape, or the one that had the sandworm in at the start. I mean, that was very Dune-esque as well. And a lot of the assets in there, we just don't got. It's like that one over there. It looks like a giant PlayStation 5 popping out in the background. We don't have anything like that when it comes to structures. I think a little bit more intrigue. I mean, Hello Games did say you never know what's over the hill. There could be a strange alien building, or strange creature, or strange plant. Doesn't really happen now. You can sort of see within the first, 30 seconds of landing on the planet what the whole planet's going to look like, because it's pretty much a copy and paste planet over. I think we need more intrigue over the hills, chums. So yes, 18 quintillion planets, and right now we've got probably around 60 odd biomes stapled across all of those quintillion planets. Of course, you're going to see patterns, and you're going to see repetitive items, but here it still states limitless variety. Now, you may have some variance to some of the planets, but no, it is not limitless variety as yet. And I feel that adding extra structures, extra sort of hazards when it comes to the flora and fauna. I mean, hazardous flora, they did add a few extra plant types. At one stage, we only had the whipping plant, Chums, and now they've added in 2 additional types. Look at that whale. I want more of that, heck yes. But yes, the hazardous flora, add some that actually tangle up your feet, like it states whenever you go and hunt hazardous flora. All the vines have tangled me. Well, we don't get that. Add a tangling vine plant. Heck yes. There's all sorts they could add when it comes to hazardous flora. Could have one that spits acid that slowly degrades your suit and things. There's all sorts. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings. What would you like to see on planets to make them more interesting, to hold your interest? Goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye again. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit a like and a subscribe. And I'd like to say a massive, great big thank you to all of my backers over on Patreon and over on YouTube membership. Thanking you, backers. And if you want to support this channel, just don't skip the adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Or yeah, just stay with Captain Steve that little bit longer and hit something on this screen. There's merch here now too.